Hey gifted crafters, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this hat using my Sentro Knitting Machine. So let's get started.
Talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her on. Her hands create some...
Okay, so before we get started with this, let's talk about the technique that we're going to learn. So for this hat, for those of you who've already made a beanie using your Sentro or your Addi machine, you're going to do the beanie the same way. But in this particular project, we're going to incorporate 3 different colors. So we have the lime green, we also have the red, as also the white. So we're going to be incorporating all 3 colors into the project, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so let's go over the things that we're going to learn for this particular project. So the techniques here are pretty much the same as in the ones that already know how to make a beanie with their Sentro or Addi machines. The only difference is that we're going to be incorporating 3 different colors into the project. So you've got this lime green here. We also have this nice little red as well as the white. And we're going to incorporate all 3 colors into the project. It's going to look nice and seamless on here. And I think it's going to come out really beautiful. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go over the yarn that you're going to need for this project. So the first yarn is this nice, pretty lime light is what it's called. It's by I Love This Yarn. You can see it here. That's the packaging. And it is 100% acrylic. And this is a 4-weight yarn. So this will be the first color that we're going to be incorporating in the project. Then we're going to be using the Red Heart Super Saver yarn. Now, this is a pretty big package that I brought, and I've been using it. So looks a little lopsided here, but it's only because it was pretty big when it first started, and I've been using it a lot. So this is by Red Heart Super Saver. It is also a number 4 medium weight yarn, and it's called the color of cherry red. Okay. And then the last one we're going to be using is also by Red Heart. This is, again, another Super Saver jumbo size that I bought. And this is just white, and it is also a number 4 medium weight. Now for the pom-poms, it's really up to you. You can make this project totally yours. I've got all different types of pom-poms. You can purchase these through Amazon, and they've got all different colors that you can use. Now, I think I used the red one in my last project, so I might change it up a bit. They've got blue, yellow. I mean, it's just really a range of colors that you can use, or you can make your own pom-pom using the yarn. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to cast on and get this project started. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the very first step that you're going to make for this project is the cast on process. Now, I do have a video that has really close-up angles so that you can really understand the whole cast on and cast off process. So if you haven't seen that yet and this is your first project, you may want to jump to that video first so you can really understand how to do cast on and cast off and get those really close-up angles. It will really help you to understand the process. Now, for those of you who already done this and maybe are a little bit more seasoned, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to just drop in our yarn, and I'm going to wrap the very first needle on the Sentro, which is the white needle, do that little V, and then we're going to go ahead and start the cast on process. Now, the cast on process is really just a motion of moving the yarn to the front and back of each of the needles. So as I crank the machine with one hand, I'm going to go ahead and feed the yarn to the front and back of each needle as the machine continues to move the needles towards me. So here we are. We're about halfway there. And I think we are just about there. So here's my white needle again. I'm going to go ahead and have my yarn in the back of the needle, and I'm going to go ahead and put it into the yarn holder. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this into the tension guide here. And I'm using the middle guide. So I want to keep that tension nice and centered there. Now, if you wanted the tension to be a little bit looser, you can just do that a little bit more closer to you. And if you want it to be tighter, it'll be more towards the machine. You've got 3 different options down there. So now I'm just going to grab some yarn, kind of pull it out a little bit here just to have it nice and loose. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cranking up the machine, and we're going to do about 60 rows with this lime green color. So let's go ahead and do 60 rows, and don't forget to reset that counter.
New skills learned and all challenges met. In my space, time well spent crafting without regrets. If I'm crafting, don't come knocking, that's my rule. I only could.
So this is the perfect time for you to pop in that CD and listen to those crafting tunes while you're cranking away.
Loving my craft room, no other place I'd rather be. A room full of crafts, feeling my best. Life is great and crafting without regrets. If I'm crafting, don't come knocking, that's my rule. I only cut once, not twice, don't make me lose my cool. You got your space, mine keeps you safe.
Now, from time to time, you do want to check that tension, so you can give it a little tug and just make sure that it's working really nice. Loving the color. Let's keep going.
Grab a comfy seat. I need to craft to put my mind at ease. Crafting changed my life, it mends my soul.
Again, just go ahead and tug on it a little bit. Make sure that your tension is nice and even. It's looking great.
World of color to brighten up my day. Crafting videos on, searching what I can do. Sipping on my drink, feeling inspired and new.
Okay, so we are almost at 60, but I noticed that my yarn is starting to touch my table. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this up, because you don't want your yarn to be touching the table because it can distort your tension on here. So let's go ahead and roll that up. I'm loving this color, guys. And let's just continue on because we're almost there.
It changed my life, it mends my soul. In my happy space, I'm in control.
Okay, we are on our last roll. So I'm going to just wait. There we are. We've got our white needle again. So now what we are going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get some snips. We're going to cut this yarn off, leaving a little bit of a tail inside, and we're going to change our colors. I'm going to remove the yarn from my tension guide. Let's go ahead and just cut that. You could just use scissors. If you have snips, it makes it a little bit easier. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the yarn out, and I'm going to have this yarn hanging down into the middle of my machine. Now my yarn is in between the white needle and the first pink needle here. So we're going to go ahead and lay that flat, and we're going to bring in our new yarn color, and I'm going to have it in the same slot between the white needle and the pink needle. So the next color that we have is our cherry red. So let's get that. Okay, so I've got my red here. This is cherry red again from Red Heart. I'm going to go ahead and grab the yarn. Now, as I said, I'm going to place the yarn in between my white needle and my pink needle, just in the same area where we have the green. So the two are going to be in the same slot together, and then I'm going to bring that red yarn in through the yarn holder, and I'm going to again put my red yarn into the middle tension slot right there. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to crank this for 10 rows. So we were at 60. So the next time we're going to see our counter at 70, and that's when we'll know that we have the 10 rows. So let's go ahead and get cranking. Now, once I have a couple of cranks here, I'm going to grab my green and my red yarn, and I'm just going to do a quick little tie. This is really just to hold it in place, and I'm going to just kind of do it not too tight, but just snug enough to make sure that stays in place. Once you've done that, go ahead and continue cranking.
Don't come knocking, that's my rule. I only cut once, not twice. Don't make me lose my cool. You got your space, mine keeps you safe from me. Loving my craft room, no other place I'd rather be. You say I got too much crafting stuff. If you were into crafting, you know it's never enough. A room full of color.
Okay, so we're at the end of our 10 rows, so it's time to switch colors again. So I'm going to go ahead and take my yarn off. I'm going to grab my snips and go ahead and snip that off. And we are going to put the yarn in between the white needle and the pink needle. So go ahead and throw that in there. I'm going to grab the next color, which is our white, and then you're going to grab the yarn, and again, you're going to insert it in the same place where you have the red yarn. So in between the white needle and the pink needle, go ahead and put it through the yarn gauge and on the middle slot for the tension. Now I'm going to give it a couple of cranks here just to get it going, and then I'm going to do a little knot just to hold it in place. So I'll go ahead and do that. And don't worry about this because no one is going to be able to see these knots. This will be totally on the inside. So now that I have that in place, we're going to go ahead and do 10 rows of the white yarn. So I'll meet you back here.
A bright colored carousel, watch it spin. Reset your counter, cast on to begin.
Now, just a note, my counter was still giving me a little bit of an issue, so I felt more comfortable putting my counter in place. So you can get these on Amazon as well, and they are really, really neat to have as a backup, or if your counter starts to malfunction, which seems typical on your Sentro machine. I'll put the information down below where you can get the counter. So go ahead and keep cranking, and I'll meet you back here at the end of the 10 rows.
Efficient speed, it's a knitter's dream. Yes, I love my knitting machines. Knitting colorful yarn with a smile on my face. Crafting, it's a love I fully embrace.
We are at the end of the 10th row for the white. So once again, we're going to switch that yarn again, and we're going to grab the red yarn. Now it's the same process. Go ahead and snip the white yarn, take it off of the tension and the thread guide, and put it in between that first white needle and the pink needle. Then go ahead and grab your yarn. Now that I have my yarn, I'm going to go ahead and drop that in between the white needle and the pink needle, which is the same place where your white yarn was from the previous row. Go ahead and put it through the thread guide, guide it down to the tension guide, and then just give it a couple of cranks. And then we're going to go ahead and secure it with a knot.
I love hand knitting, I love to crochet, but don't ever take my Addi or Sentro away.
Okay, now that we've got the knot nice and secure, you're going to do 10 rows with the red yarn. So go ahead and get cranking, and I'll meet you back here.
Cast on a knit rose, I see through needles in hand, yarn so soft, feeling accomplished. I cast off. Knitting is my life. I may collect yarn, needles, tools, and stuff. Addicted to this craft, there's never enough. People dance, others may paint. It's a mystery. Just let me be. Knitting is my therapy. Knitting is my therapy.
Okay, I've gotten to my 10th row on the red yarn. Now we're just going to continue to repeat this over and over again. So once again, I'm going to snip this off and put my white yarn in. So you're going to want to have another white, another red, and then another white and another red again. So you'll have a total of 3 rows of the red and 3 rows of the white. You'll see 3 of those alternating colors on your project. So go ahead and do the next color, which is your white yarn for 10 rows, then do your red, then your white, then your red again, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so just to remind you, this is what it's going to look like once you're done. So you'll see that section of red, white, red, white, red, white. And this is the alternating pattern that you're going to have on your machine once you're done with all of the rows. Now remember, these are 10 rows each of each color. And don't forget that once your yarn starts to hit your table, go ahead and roll it up from the bottom, because you don't want your yarn touching the table and distorting the tension. So continue cranking, and I'll see you back here.
For what she sews, crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. Your talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her art. Her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far. Nancy and her gifted crafters shine like bright stars. She's Nancy with gifts HQ, the queen of crafting bliss. From yarn to fabric, she makes dreams come true with every stitch. Quilts and scarves, hats and more, her creations never miss. Nancy and her...
Okay, so we've gotten to the end of our 10th row of the white yarn. So we are ready to begin our cast off process. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my snips. Now I'm going to leave a pretty generous amount of yarn that I'm going to snip off. And that's because the cast off process, we're going to need this yarn to pick up all of these needles. So let's go ahead and snip that off. And remember, I have a video that shows you the cast on and cast off process with some pretty close-up shots. So make sure you check that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and take it off of the tension and off of the yarn guide. Now I'm going to hold it over in the center, and I'm going to go ahead and do 1 rotation all the way around just to release the stitches. Okay, now I'm going to grab my darning needle, and I'm going to head and thread that on here.
But that's not for me. Give me my crafting space, I'll live happily. If I'm crafting, don't come knocking.
And once you have that darning needle on, you're going to go ahead and start picking up the stitches. I like to pick up my stitches from the inside of the machine to the outside. So we'll go ahead and do that.
You say I got too much.
And sometimes you can pick up more than 1 stitch and then just kind of thread it through. Now, if you're new to this process, I'd recommend to just go ahead and do 1 by 1. But after you get the hang of it, you can pick up more than 1 stitch.
Don't come knocking, that's my rule. I only cut once, not twice.
You just want to continue to rotate it slowly towards you, so you can see the stitches. Now, as you notice, it's starting to disconnect from the machine, which is exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and continue picking up the stitches, and then just meet me back here.
New skills learned and all challenges met. In my space, time well spent crafting without regrets. If I'm crafting, don't come knocking, that's my rule. I only cut once, not twice, don't make me lose my...
Okay, so once you've picked up your last stitch, your project will be completely released. So we can go ahead and move the machine over to the side. And then what you want to do is go ahead and take that needle off of the yarn. You're not going to need it. And you can go ahead and unroll your project here. So you have that little donut going on before. And you want to kind of give your project a nice little tug. I like to stretch it both ways, not too much, just enough to kind of set the stitches in. And then just give it a tug on the other side as well. So lengthwise as well as the width. And then you're just going to go ahead and follow this process as you would any other beanie. So let's go ahead and pull that center. Push my hand in. And I'm going to grab the other side as well as the tail for it. So this is double knitting it. Now you'll see your green on here. I'm going to go ahead and find that little tail and then go ahead and give it a tug. And you'll see that the yarn is going to start to gather together. Once you've gathered that, go ahead and tuck it inside and then do the same thing with the white yarn. Just go ahead and pull it to gather it. And then you're going to want to kind of just reach inside and make sure everything is nice and settled in there. And then just give it a nice little tug here. And you can see the base of the hat is looking really great. You've got your red and white stripes, and then you have the green on the end. So when we flip this over, you're going to have that showing like this. There you go. Now all you have to do on the top is to go ahead and just make a little knot. So now that the top is nice and secure, you can make sure that your hat's nice and flat there. There you go. And so again, just fold the brim here. Now, we did 60 rows of the green, so this is the size of the brim that you get, which is about, I'd say about 2.5 inches on the bottom. If you wanted the brim to be a little wider, maybe you're going to embroider or maybe put the little Grinch face on there, then go ahead and do the green yarn for an additional 10 rows. That'll give you a larger brim on the bottom. I kind of prefer the shorter one, so this is about 60 rows that we've done. Okay, so now that all that is left is for you to put on your pom-pom, and that's really anything that you'd like to put. You can create the pom-pom using any color yarn by just winding it up and then just creating the pom-pom, or you can go ahead and purchase any of these pom-poms that you can find in Amazon. Let me get those for you. So here they are. There's all kinds of different colors that you can get with this. It's really, really neat. I'm going to go ahead and use the red one. I like to use these because I just like how puffy they are. I think they're really great. But if you don't have one, you can make your own out of yarn. I do like that they also have on the bottom, they have a little loop here that'll help to position the little pom-pom on top of the hat and then kind of just loop it in. So it makes it nice and easy. So all I'm going to do now, I don't need such a long string, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my snips and snip that out. And I'm going to grab my darning needle and I'm just going to thread it. Now it doesn't matter if you do the green yarn or the white yarn, either one will work. So once you have that threaded, I'm going to take my pom-pom and find that loop and go ahead and loop that and pull that through. And that's going to bring your pom-pom right to the top. And then all you have to do is do a couple of whip stitches just to reinforce it. So I'll go ahead and take my darning needle. I'm going to grab a couple of the loops on the hat, just basically the top of the brim, and I'm going to put it through that loop once more. That'll kind of reinforce it in there. And then I'm going to just pull it. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just grab a couple of stitches here on the top of the brim of the hat and just pull it through. This will just really secure it in there so it will not come off. Now the other thing you can do is take the green yarn and then just tie a little knot. And that will just secure it in place. So I'm going to do one more knot. And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snip the yarn. And there we go. We have our nice little hat all ready to go for Christmas. Isn't this adorable? So easy to make and just really, really nice to have ready for the winter for kids. Everyone can have matching hats as we go. Absolutely adorable. I really love it. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. And if you did, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope to be crafting with you soon.
She weaves her art, her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far. Nancy and her gifted crafters, bringing joy